The blue-white planet called Earth had just begun its journey into the stars when everything changed. The year was 2157, and humans had only recently built bases on Mars and mining operations in the asteroid belt. They were proud of these small steps, unaware of how the wider galaxy viewed such achievements. Captain Frank Miller stood on the bridge of the USS Horizon, his eyes fixed on the main screen where an alien ship hung against the black of space. It was beautiful in a strange way, all curved lines and shimmering metal that seemed to catch light that wasn't there. The ship had appeared near Jupiter's orbit without warning, its technology far beyond human sensors, until it wanted to be seen. "Any response to our greeting?" Frank asked, his voice steady despite the hammering of his heart. Lisa Kendrick, the ship's science officer, looked up from her station. "Yes, Captain. They're transmitting in multiple formats. One of them matches our basic communication protocols. They're calling themselves representatives of something called the Galactic Concord." Frank took a deep breath. First contact. After centuries of wondering, humanity finally had its answer about alien life. "Put it on screen," he ordered. The alien that appeared looked almost like a tall human with gray-blue skin and large eyes that seemed too knowing. It wore what might have been formal clothing, layered fabrics in deep colors with strange symbols. "Greetings, vessel of Earth," the alien said in surprisingly good English. "I am Ambassador Zhovak of the Vexari, speaking on behalf of the Galactic Concord, an alliance of 7 spacefaring civilizations. We have been observing your world for some time and believe you are ready for formal introduction to the galactic community." Over the next 12 hours, Frank led the human delegation in what seemed like productive talks. The aliens invited the Horizon to dock with their much larger vessel for face-to-face meetings. Frank brought Lisa Kendrick and John Daniels, his communications specialist, as part of the small team. The alien ship was a marvel of technology. As they walked through its corridors, Lisa's instruments recorded everything they could, while John focused on learning more about the aliens' language and customs. "The Concord has existed for over 12,000 of your years," explained a new alien, this one with scaled skin, and a name too complex for human tongues to pronounce easily. The humans called him the Morvellian representative, after his species. "We govern trade, settle disputes between worlds, and protect developing civilizations from exploitation," the Morvellian continued. Frank nodded politely. "Earth would be honored to learn from such an established organization. We have much to offer in exchange as well." The Vexari ambassador, Zhovak, made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Your enthusiasm is charming, Captain. But let us be direct. Earth is a very young world by our standards. Your technology is primitive, your resources limited, and your political systems unstable. We offer you protection as a conquered protectorate species." Lisa frowned. "Protectorate? What exactly does that mean?" The meeting room suddenly felt colder as the aliens shared glances with each other. "It means we will guide your development," said Zhovak. "We will provide limited technology transfers, access to certain conquered facilities, and protection from less benevolent species." "And then in return," Frank asked. "Earth will provide raw materials. Agree to conquered oversight of your government and limit your military development to approved levels," said the Morvellian. "It is a generous offer for a species at your stage." John whispered to Frank, "Captain, they're talking to us like we're children." Frank nodded slightly but kept his expression neutral. "We appreciate your offer, but I need to consult with Earth's governments before making any decisions that would affect our entire planet." The aliens seemed surprised by this response. "Surely you understand the opportunity being presented," said Zhovak, his tone sharpening. "Many developing worlds wait centuries for Concord recognition." "Nevertheless," said Frank firmly, "I don't have the authority to commit Earth to these terms." The mood in the room shifted. What had seemed like a diplomatic meeting now felt like something else entirely. The Morvellian leaned forward. "Perhaps you misunderstand, Captain. The Concord has already decided Earth will join as a protectorate. The terms are quite favorable compared to what other young species receive." Lisa had been reviewing the treaty document on her tablet. These resource quotas would strip Earth's rare metal reserves within 50 years. And this clause about Population management. Are you suggesting you would control our birth rates? Jovac's patience visibly thinned. Primitive species often fail to see the long-term benefits of proper guidance. Your kind still fights amongst yourselves over resources and ideology. The conquered offers stability. We prefer to find our own path, Frank replied. If the Concord truly respects developing civilizations, it will respect our right to choose our own future. The Vexari ambassador stood suddenly, towering over the seated humans. This stubbornness is why newly spacefaring races require firm guidance. You are like clever pets who have learned a few tricks and now think yourselves equal to your masters. The room went silent. Then Frank realized with horror that the communication channel to Earth was still open. Jovac's words had just been broadcast to every major government on the planet. I believe this meeting is over, Frank said quietly, standing up. My team will return to our ship now. You would reject conquered protection? Asked the Morvellian, genuine confusion in his voice. That would be most unwise. We're not rejecting anything yet, Frank clarified. We're taking time to consider your proposal properly. As the human delegation was escorted back to their docking bay, Lisa moved close to Frank. They never expected us to do anything but accept immediately, she whispered. They're not used to being questioned. I noticed, Frank replied. Stay alert. I don't like how this is developing. They were nearly back to their ship when a group of Vexari security personnel blocked their path. The Conquered Council wishes a private word with your science officer, said the lead guard. She has shown unusual insight for a human. Frank stepped between them and Lisa. My crew stays with me. Any further discussions can happen through proper channels after we've returned to our vessel. For a tense moment, no one moved. Then the guard stepped aside with obvious reluctance. The human team boarded the horizon quickly. Frank immediately ordered preparations for departure. Captain, called the sensor officer, the alien vessel is powering up some kind of energy weapons. Before Frank could respond, a blast rocked the ship, throwing crew members to the floor. Alarms blared throughout the vessel. Direct hit to our main propulsion, shouted the engineering officer over the comm. 3 dead, 7 injured. We've lost 30% of our thrust capability. On the main screen, Jovac's face appeared. A small demonstration of the difference between our civilizations, Captain. A warning shot, nothing more. Consider it education on your place in the galaxy. You have 30 Earth days to reconsider your response to our generous offer. After that, we will be forced to take more direct action. The alien ship moved away, somehow instantly accelerating to incredible speed without any visible propulsion flare. As Frank called for medical teams and damage control, he looked at the shocked faces of his bridge crew. Earth had just discovered it wasn't alone in the universe, but their new neighbors weren't friends. Send everything we've recorded to Earth Command, he ordered John, and add my personal note. We need to prepare for the worst. What the aliens didn't understand was that humans had been preparing for the worst throughout their entire history, and now they had just 30 days to get ready for what might come next. The Galactic Concord expected Earth to respond with fear after their show of force. They expected begging, pleading, or immediate surrender. Instead, Earth went quiet. No transmissions were sent to the departing alien ships. No desperate calls for mercy or angry threats. Just complete silence. The aliens mistook this silence for shock and fear. They were wrong. Behind the silence, Earth was busy. Very busy. Within hours of the USS Horizon limping back to Earth orbit, all major world leaders met in an emergency session. Old enemies sat side by side, setting aside decades of distrust. The recording of the Vexari ambassador calling humans clever pets played on screens around the world. It united humanity in a way no speech or disaster ever had. We have 30 days, said Defense Coordinator Alan Wright, his face grim as he addressed the gathered leaders. 30 days to prepare for an enemy with technology far beyond our own. Can we negotiate? Asked one leader. Perhaps find better terms? Admiral George Hudson, head of Earth's small space fleet, shook his head. You all heard what they really think of us. They don't want partners. They want servants. Then we fight, said the President of the United States simply. But how? Their ships outmatch anything we have. Alan Wright stood up. We activate Protocol Omega. The room went silent. Protocol Omega wasn't supposed to exist. It was a secret plan created by a small group of military leaders and scientists who believed that first contact might not be friendly. Most thought it was just a theory, a contingency plan never meant to be used. Protocol Omega has 3 parts, Wright explained. First, we hide our true response. Second, we adapt what we learn from their technology. Third, we prepare a coordinated defense using everything we have. Within days, Earth's factories shifted to war production. Space habitats became military bases. The 27 combat-ready ships of Earth's space fleet were scattered throughout the solar system in what seemed like random positions. But the pattern was carefully planned by Admiral Hudson. In a secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Susan Carter led teams of scientists working around the clock. They studied the scans taken by the USS Horizon during the brief contact. Their ships use some kind of gravity manipulation for propulsion and weapons, she explained to the Joint Military Command. We can't copy it exactly, but we might be able to disrupt it. Kevin Morris, a computer genius who had once been arrested for hacking government systems, now worked for that same government. His job was to create systems that would hide Earth's preparations from alien observation. They'll be watching us, he warned. We need to show them what they expect to see. A scared planet in disarray. His team created special signal scramblers that broadcast fake transmissions showing panic and fear, while hiding the real activities happening across Earth. When small Concord probe ships returned to observe Earth a week later, they saw exactly what Kevin wanted them to see. Governments seemingly arguing with each other, protests in major cities, no unified response. What they didn't see were the weapons being loaded onto ships, the soldiers training for space combat, the defensive systems being built on the dark side of the moon. They're buying it, Kevin reported. The probes are only scanning our public broadcast and visible activities. As the deadline approached, Dr. Carter made a breakthrough. Her team had developed a system that could create localized gravity distortions. It won't stop their ships, she explained, but it might disrupt their weapons long enough to give us a fighting chance. Admiral Hudson modified Earth's defense plan. We can't match them ship to ship, so we won't try. We'll fight them our way. He ordered the construction of thousands of small combat drones, each barely larger than a car. They expect big warships. They won't be prepared for swarm tactics. 25 days after first contact, Earth was as ready as it could be. The apparent chaos on the surface was a carefully crafted illusion. Beneath it, humanity had united, with a single purpose: survival. Will it be enough? Asked President Williams during the final briefing. Honestly, I don't know, Admiral Hudson answered. But I do know this. If they expect us to lie down and accept being treated like pets, they're in for a nasty surprise. On the 29th day, long-range sensors detected the Concorde war fleet entering the solar system. 45 ships, each larger and more powerful than anything Earth possessed. They moved with confidence, not bothering to hide their approach. The fleet took position near Earth's moon, weapons ready but not yet firing. A transmission came from the largest ship, a massive vessel that dwarfed Earth's biggest spacecraft. I am Supreme Commander Krelvon of the Vexari Dominance Fleet, announced, a stern alien face on screens across Earth. Your time to consider the Concorde's generous offer has expired. What is your answer? For the first time in nearly 30 days, Earth broke its silence. Admiral Hudson, speaking for the United Governments of Earth, sent a simple reply. We decline your offer. Please leave our system. The alien commander's face showed something like amusement. You misunderstand the situation. This was not a negotiation. Prepare your world leaders for occupation. Any resistance will result in targeted strikes against your major cities. Admiral Hudson's expression remained calm. We understand the situation. Perfectly, Commander. We just don't accept it. He ended the transmission and turned to his staff. "Send the signal. All units execute Battle Plan Thunderbolt." Across the solar system, Earth's seemingly scattered ships powered up their engines. The small combat fleet moved with coordinated precision that surprised the watching aliens. At the same time, what had appeared to be ordinary satellites around Earth suddenly launched swarms of small combat drones. On the lunar surface, hidden weapon platforms emerged from concealed bunkers. Earth's response was not the chaotic panic the Conquered expected. It was a carefully orchestrated attack. Commander Krelvon watched in confusion as his sensors showed human forces moving in what seemed like a pointless pattern. "They can't possibly think they can defeat us with these primitive vessels," he told his officers. "Prepare to teach them their final lesson." But as the Concorde fleet prepared to fire, they failed to notice the small stealth ship approaching from behind. The USS Silent Thunder, commanded by Lieutenant Maria White, had been hiding in the moon's shadow, waiting for this moment. Maria's orders were clear: deliver Dr. Carter's experimental gravity disruptor to the heart of the enemy fleet. "All hands, brace for acceleration," she ordered. "Target the enemy flagship. Full burn on my mark." The battle for Earth's future was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Silent Thunder moved fast and quiet through space. Lieutenant Maria White gripped her command chair as her ship raced toward the huge alien fleet. The stealth systems Dr. Carter had designed kept them hidden for now, but that wouldn't last. Once they got close, "Weapon status?" Maria asked. "Gravity disruptors at full charge," reported her weapons officer. "We'll only get one shot at this." The alien ships hung in space near the moon like giant metal sharks waiting to attack. They were big and powerful, but Maria noticed something important. They weren't moving to defend all angles. They expected an attack from Earth, not from behind. "They're overconfident," she said quietly. "Good." On the main Concorde warship, Commander Krelvon watched Earth's small fleet with amusement. His sensors showed Earth's ships forming what humans might call a battle line. It was a basic formation that any cadet in the Concorde fleet would recognize. "They fight like children playing a game," he told his officers. "Their ships are too few and too weak. This will be over quickly." What he didn't know was that Admiral Hudson had studied ancient naval warfare from Earth's history. The formation looked simple on purpose. It was meant to draw attention while other forces moved into position. Krelvon gave the order: target their lead vessels. Show them the consequence of defiance. As the Conquered weapons powered up, something unexpected happened. The Silent Thunder dropped its stealth field directly behind 3 Concorde cruisers. Before the aliens could react, Maria gave her order: fire, all disruptors. The weapons didn't look impressive. There was no bright beam or explosion. Instead, waves of distorted space rippled out from the Silent Thunder, washing over the alien ships. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the Concorde ships began to shake. Their gravity drives, which kept them stable in space, suddenly couldn't tell up from down. Weapon systems tried to fire but sent energy blasts in random directions. One ship accidentally fired on another. "What is happening?" Krelvon demanded as warnings flashed across his command screens. His science officer looked confused. "The humans have deployed some kind of gravity weapon. It's interfering with our systems." While the Concorde fleet struggled with the disruption, Admiral Hudson launched the next phase of his plan. From Earth orbit, thousands of small combat drones raced toward the alien ships. Each drone was piloted remotely by a human on Earth, many of them young people who had trained on video games before being recruited for their quick reflexes. The drones swarmed around the larger Concorde vessels like angry bees. They were too small and fast for the alien targeting systems to lock onto easily. Each drone carried a small but powerful bomb designed to damage specific parts of the alien ships. Captain Doug Peterson led the main Earth fleet forward, while the drones and the Silent Thunder kept the aliens busy. His ship, the Defiant, targeted the communication arrays on the Conquered vessels. "Cut off their heads from their bodies," Admiral Hudson had ordered. The plan was to break the aliens' coordinated defense by destroying their ability to communicate with each other. In space, battles happen quickly. Within 30 minutes, 7 Concorde ships had been seriously damaged. The rest were struggling to form a defensive position while fighting off swarms of drones. Commander Krelvon couldn't believe what was happening. These humans, these primitives, were fighting in a way the conquered had never seen. There was no honor in these tactics, no proper formation or challenge. The humans struck from blind spots, attacked in overwhelming numbers, and targeted critical systems rather than engaging in proper ship-to-ship combat. "Destroy those small craft," he ordered. "Concentrate fire on their main vessels." But the Concorde fleet, designed to fight other large ships in organized battles, struggled against the chaotic human attack. When they tried to fire their main weapons, Dr. Carter's gravity disruptors caused the energy beams to bend away from their targets or even back toward the ships that fired them. On Earth, President Williams watched the battle from the secure command center. "Are we winning?" she asked. Admiral Hudson pointed to the display showing the position of all ships. "Not yet, but we're surviving, and they didn't expect that." The Silent Thunder had taken heavy damage after its surprise attack, but had completed its mission. Lieutenant Maria White ordered her crew to evacuation pods as the ship's systems failed. "We've done our part," she told them. "The rest is up to the fleet." Commander Krelvon, now desperate to regain control of the battle, ordered his remaining ships to form a tight defensive sphere. It was a standard Conquered tactic when surprised. Gather close, combine shield strength, and prepare a coordinated counterattack. Admiral Hudson had expected this. "They're bunching up," he told his captains over the secure channel. "Execute hammer. Fall." From the dark side of the moon, Earth's hidden weapon platforms revealed themselves. These weren't fancy alien technology. They were simple railguns using magnetic force to launch heavy metal projectiles at incredible speeds. Nothing but large chunks of metal, requiring no complex targeting systems that the aliens might jam. The Conquered ships clustered together, the railguns fired. Dozens of metal slugs tore through space at a significant fraction of light speed. The aliens detected them too late. The impacts were devastating. Slug after slug punched through the Conquered ship's energy shields, designed to stop energy weapons, but less effective against physical objects moving so fast. Metal hulls tore open, exposing crew and machinery to the vacuum of space. 5 Conquered ships were destroyed outright. 7 more were badly damaged. The perfect sphere of alien vessels broke apart as captains tried to evade the continued barrage. From the moon, Krelvon watched in growing horror as his battle plan fell apart. "Impossible," he whispered. "They are just humans." His flagship rocked violently as a railgun slug tore through one of its engine sections. Warning alarms blared across the bridge. "Commander," his second-in-command reported, "we've lost contact. With 23 ships, our weapons are operating at 30% capacity. The humans are targeting our communication arrays specifically. We cannot maintain fleet coordination." For the first time in his long military career, Krelvon faced a decision he never thought possible. Did he continue fighting and risk losing his entire fleet, or did he accept the unthinkable? Defeat at the hands of a primitive species. On the Defiant, Captain Peterson received a transmission from Admiral Hudson. They're breaking formation, push the advantage, force their commanders, ship away from the others. The Earth fleet, though smaller and less advanced, moved with perfect coordination. They had rehearsed this battle many times in simulation. Every captain knew exactly what to do without needing constant orders. The battle had raged for just over 4 hours. Earth had lost 11 ships and thousands of lives, but the Concorde fleet, which had arrived expecting an easy victory, was in disarray. Their rigid command structure, which had served them well in conventional battles against known enemies, failed them against humanity's unpredictable tactics. Krelvon's flagship, now isolated from the rest of his fleet, faced the approaching Earth vessels. His pride demanded he fight to the end. His duty to the Concorde required he preserve what remained of his force. As Earth ships surrounded his command vessel, Admiral Hudson opened a channel. His message was simple: surrender now, or be destroyed. Commander Krelvon stared at the screen showing Admiral Hudson's face. The human looked calm, not like someone who should be afraid of superior alien technology. This bothered Krelvon deeply. "You demand surrender from a conquered fleet commander?" Krelvon asked, his voice filled with disbelief. "Even now, you fail to understand your place in the galaxy." Hudson's expression didn't change. "We understand perfectly. You have 10 minutes to power down your weapon systems and prepare to be boarded, or we will destroy what's left of your ship. The communication ended. Krelvan turned to his bridge crew, expecting to see determination. Instead, he saw fear. His second-in-command approached him. "Commander, we have lost 28 ships. Our engines are failing. We cannot retreat or fight effectively." Krelvan wanted to continue the battle. His pride demanded it. But he was also responsible for the lives of his remaining crew. Thousands of Concord citizens who would die for nothing if he refused to surrender. "Power down weapons," he ordered finally. "Prepare for boarding." News of the surrender spread quickly through the remaining Concord ships. Many captains couldn't believe the order. Some wanted to keep fighting. But military discipline held, and one by one, the alien vessels powered down their weapons. On Earth, people watched in stunned silence as the battle ended. They had expected either complete victory or total defeat. This uncertain middle ground, winning but at great cost, was something new. Admiral Hudson organized boarding parties to secure the alien ships. Each team included military personnel and scientists who would study the advanced technology. Sam Parker, an officer from Earth's diplomatic corps, led the team that boarded Krelvan's flagship. He had studied what little was known about Concord customs and language. "Remember," he told his team, "we're not here for revenge. We need information and cooperation." When they entered the alien bridge, Krelvan stood waiting. He was taller than any human, with gray-blue skin and eyes that seemed to look through rather than at the humans. "I surrender myself as required by Concord military code," he said stiffly. "My crew will not resist." Sam nodded. "We will treat you and your people with respect, Commander. Our medical teams are ready to help your wounded." This offer seemed to surprise Krelvan. "You would waste resources on enemy casualties?" "That's what civilized beings do," Sam replied simply. Over the next few days, thousands of Concord survivors were brought to Earth and Moon bases for medical treatment. Many were suspicious and afraid, expecting harsh treatment or worse from the primitive humans they had come to conquer. Instead, they found themselves cared for by the same people they had planned to subjugate. This confused them greatly. Lisa Kendrick, who had been on the first contact mission, now worked with the medical teams. She noticed how shocked the aliens were by human behavior. "You don't understand us at all, do you?" she asked a Vexari officer, named Jalmar, who was recovering from serious injuries. "No," admitted Jalmar. "We were told humans were barely sentient by galactic standards, clever animals who had stumbled upon space travel through luck rather than intelligence." Lisa laughed, which confused the alien even more. "Let me tell you about humans," she said. She pulled out a tablet and showed him images of Earth's history. "This is the Great Wall of China, built over 2,000 years ago. These are the pyramids of Egypt, constructed 4,500 years ago. This is a human city called Rome that has existed for nearly 3,000 years." Jalmar studied the images with growing surprise. "But the Concord scouts reported your civilization was young." "Our current global civilization is relatively recent," Lisa explained. "But humans have been building, fighting, inventing, and surviving for thousands of years. We've had writing for over 5,000 years. We've been making art for at least 40,000 years." She showed him more images: ancient human battles, modern cities, art and architecture from around the world. "The weapons we used against your fleet weren't new inventions," she continued. "They were adaptations of weapons we've used against each other for centuries. The railguns on the moon? That's technology from the 1970s, just scaled up." Jalmar seemed troubled. "You fought each other, your own species?" "Constantly," Lisa said with a sad smile. "Human history is filled with war. Nation against nation. Ideology against ideology. We've nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times." The alien looked genuinely disturbed. "And this is something you're proud of?" Lisa shook her head. "Not proud, but it shaped us. It made us adaptable, innovative, and very, very good at fighting when we need to. What you saw wasn't humanity at its strongest. It was humanity with its back against the wall, fighting with limited resources and time." Similar conversations happened throughout the medical facilities where Concord personnel were being treated. The aliens began to understand that they had fundamentally misunderstood what humans were. In a secure meeting room, Admiral Hudson and President Williams met with Commander Krelvon for formal surrender negotiations. Lieutenant Ryan Cole, a military historian, was present to document the historic meeting. "Before we begin," Hudson said, "I want you to understand something about the battle you just lost." He activated a display showing major human conflicts throughout history. This was the Battle of Stalingrad, over 2 million casualties. This was the Battle of the Somme, over 1 million casualties. This was World War II, over 70 million total deaths. Krelvon watched in growing horror. The Battle of Luna, which you just lost, wouldn't even rank among our 100 most costly battles, Ryan explained. What you experienced was a small fraction of human fighting capability, adapted quickly with limited resources. Impossible, Krelvon whispered. No species could survive such conflict. That's exactly what made us strong, Hudson replied. We had to survive. We had to adapt. We had to overcome not just our environment, but each other. President Williams leaned forward. We don't want war with the Concord, Commander. We never did. But we will not accept being treated as lesser beings. As news of the battle spread throughout conquered space, reactions varied wildly. Some called for massive retaliation against Earth. Others demanded investigation into how such a grave military miscalculation had occurred. Earth, meanwhile, prepared for possible further conflict. But they also did something the Concord didn't expect. They released information about human history, culture, and society on galactic communication channels. If they're going to judge us, Admiral Hudson told the World Council, they should at least know who we really are. The data packets included human art, music, literature, and history, both humanity's greatest achievements and darkest moments. The unvarnished truth of what humans had been, what they had done to each other, and what they had overcome. Across the galaxy, other species watched with growing fascination and fear as they learned about a species forged by constant conflict and adaptation, a species now armed with captured Concord technology and a proven ability to defeat numerically and technologically superior forces. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. 6 months passed since the Battle of Luna. Earth had changed in many ways. Pieces of alien technology were now seen in cities around the world. People looked up at the night sky with new understanding. They were not alone, and the universe knew they existed. In Geneva, Switzerland, a new building stood ready for an important meeting. The council chamber was built in record time to host representatives from the Galactic Concord who were coming to Earth. This time, they were not coming, with demands but with a formal apology and an offer of true alliance. Nicole Foster adjusted her formal uniform as she prepared to lead the human delegation. As Earth's new ambassador to galactic affairs, she carried a heavy responsibility. "Are you ready?" asked Admiral Hudson, who stood beside her. "As ready as anyone can be to represent an entire planet," she replied with a small smile. The room filled with people from all nations of Earth. World leaders, military officers, scientists, and cultural representatives gathered to witness this historic moment. Screens broadcast the meeting to billions of people around the globe. At exactly noon, the doors opened. 7 aliens entered the chamber. Each one represented a different species from the Galactic Concord. They moved with formal dignity to their assigned seats. The tallest among them, a Morvellian named Tevrel, stepped forward first. His scaled skin shimmered under the lights as he bowed deeply to the human delegation. "On behalf of the High Council of the Galactic Concord, I extend our formal apology to the people of Earth," he said, his voice translated by new devices developed using Concord technology. "Our approach to your world was based on arrogance and ignorance. We failed to understand who and what humans truly are." Nicole nodded in acknowledgement but said nothing yet. The Concord representatives continued, each speaking in turn. A small, bird-like alien spoke next. "We have studied the history you shared with us. For 12,000 years the Concord has existed, yet we have never encountered a species like humanity." The next speaker, a Vexari female, continued. "Most species, In the conquered evolved through guided development. Our conflicts were limited, our progress steady but slow. Humans developed differently, through constant adaptation to conflict and challenge. Admiral Hudson watched the aliens carefully. He had fought against them, and now sat across from them, as potential allies. The change still seemed unreal. The formal speeches continued for nearly an hour. Then the real negotiations began. Unlike the first contact, this time humans were treated as equals. The terms offered were very different from before. Earth will be recognized as a full member of the reformed Galactic Concord, Tavrel explained. With all rights and privileges this entails. Nicole studied the treaty document carefully, including the right to maintain our independent military forces. The aliens looked uncomfortable at this point. No other member of the Concord had separate military forces. Defense was handled by central Concord fleets, but they nodded in agreement. Yes, this special provision acknowledges Earth's unique situation and capabilities. The negotiations lasted 3 days. Every detail was carefully discussed and agreed upon. Earth would join the galactic community not as a junior partner but as a full and equal member. When the final treaty was signed, people around the world celebrated. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through submission, but by standing firm. In the years that followed, human influence spread throughout the galaxy. Earth military academies began accepting students from other worlds. Alien diplomats studied human history to understand how a species with such internal conflict could also develop such complex cooperation. 10 years after first contact, Admiral Hudson stood on the observation deck of Earth's new space station. Ships from a dozen worlds docked at the massive structure. Human and alien crews worked side by side. Nicole Foster joined him, now serving as Earth's senior representative on the Concord Council. Hard to believe how much has changed, she said. Hudson nodded. I spent my career preparing to defend Earth against threats. Never thought I'd end up helping build peace with the same aliens who tried to conquer us. They watched as a group of Vexari cadets followed a human instructor toward a training area. The young aliens listened with respect as the human explained Earth naval traditions. They still don't fully understand us, Nicole observed. The Concord species evolved in relatively stable environments. Conflict on our scale is outside their experience. That's why they both fear and respect us now, Hudson replied. They see what we can do when threatened, but also what we can build when given the chance. Below them in the main docking bay, a ceremony was taking place. Captain Frank Miller, the same man who had led the first contact mission, was being honored by both human and alien representatives. His ship, the USS Horizon, had been rebuilt and upgraded with Concord technology. It would soon depart on a mission of exploration rather than defense. The greatest surprise to them wasn't that we fought back, Nicole said quietly. It was that we didn't seek revenge afterward. We could have used their technology to build weapons to attack their worlds. Instead, we asked for partnership. Hudson smiled slightly. That's the paradox they still struggle to understand. Our capacity for violence is matched only by our desire for peace. A small ship departed from the station, heading toward the Concord diplomatic vessel in higher orbit. On board was Commander Krelvon, who had become an unexpected bridge between humans and the Concord. After his defeat at Luna, he had requested to remain on Earth as a military observer. His reports on human society had helped change the Concord's view of humanity. Krelvon told me something interesting yesterday, Hudson said. The Concord has begun implementing new training based on human military history. They're learning from us now. And we're learning from them, Nicole pointed out. Their medical technology has saved thousands of lives already. Their environmental systems might help us repair Earth's damaged ecosystems. The stars shone brightly through the viewport. Among them were worlds humans would soon visit not as conquerors or the conquered, but as equal partners in the galactic community. We fought because we had to, Hudson said. But that's not what defined us in the end. No, agreed Nicole. What defined us was what we did after the fighting stopped. We offered peace, cooperation, and friendship to the same people who had tried to enslave us. That was the true event that earned humanity both fear and respect across the galaxy. Not just their unexpected victory against superior forces, but their even more surprising capacity for forgiveness afterward. As Earth moved forward into its new role in galactic society, humans carried with them both their warrior strength and their builder's vision. The combination made them unique among the stars, a species that understood both conflict and peace in ways others were only beginning to comprehend.